Welcome back to my channel today. We're diving into a topic that's close to all of our hearts, the beautiful mess that is love. Why is something so incredible, so capable of bringing joy and connection, also so incredibly challenging? Let's explore that together. One of the reasons love is so hard is because it requires us to be vulnerable. To love and be loved, we have to show up authentically, imperfections and all. And that can be terrifying, because when we let someone see our true selves, we risk rejection. But here's the thing about vulnerability. It's not weakness, it's courage. It takes incredible strength to choose love, to choose to be seen, even with the risk of getting hurt. True intimacy can only exist when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable. When we share our stories, our dreams, our fears, that's when connection happens on a soul level. So how do we cultivate that courage to be vulnerable in love? It starts with recognizing that we are worthy of love. Our stories, our scars, our imperfections, they don't make us less lovable, they make us human. We've talked about the courage it takes to be vulnerable in love, but even when we muster up that courage, there's another hurdle we face: communication. Communication in relationships can be a minefield of misunderstandings, unspoken expectations, and conflicting communication styles. We all come from different backgrounds and have learned to communicate in different ways. So, how do we bridge that gap? It requires a willingness to listen, and I mean truly listen, with an open heart and a desire to understand. It's about putting aside our own assumptions and judgments and really trying to see the world through our partner's eyes. What are they feeling? What are they trying to communicate? It's about asking clarifying questions, seeking to understand before trying to be understood. And just as important as listening is learning to express our own needs and feelings in a healthy and constructive way. Because here's the thing, sweeping things under the rug might seem easier in the short term, but those unaddressed issues have a way of festering and resurfacing. We've talked about vulnerability, we've talked about communication, and now let's talk about another dance that love requires us to learn: the delicate balancing act of independence and togetherness. When we fall in love, it's natural to want to spend every moment with that person. But a healthy relationship requires both partners to maintain their own sense of self. It's about finding that sweet spot where we can be deeply connected without losing ourselves in the process. Think of it like this: each person in a relationship is like a circle, complete and whole on their own. When we come together in a healthy way, those circles overlap, creating a shared space of love and connection. So how do we find that balance? It starts with open and honest communication about our needs. It's also about respecting our partner's need for independence, even when it's challenging. We've all heard the saying opposites attract, and while there's a certain allure to the excitement of differences, those differences can also become points of friction in a relationship. Because let's face it, no two people are exactly alike. We all have our own unique personalities, values, beliefs, and ways of seeing the world. And navigating those differences, especially when they feel significant, can be one of the biggest challenges in love. These differences, while potentially challenging, are also what make relationships interesting. They offer opportunities for growth, for learning, and for expanding our own perspectives. It's about learning to appreciate and respect our differences, to see them as opportunities for growth rather than obstacles to overcome. It's about finding ways to compromise, to meet in the middle, and to create a dynamic where both partners feel heard and respected. Let's talk about expectations. We all have them, right? We have expectations for ourselves, for our careers, and yes, for our relationships. And while having some expectations can be healthy, it's when those expectations become unrealistic or unspoken that they can start to sabotage our love lives. Think about it. We're bombarded with images of perfect relationships, in movies, in books, on social media, that set the bar impossibly high. We start to believe that love should be effortless, that our partners should be able to read our minds, and that conflict is a sign of a doomed relationship. But the truth is, real love is messy. So, how do we break free from the expectations trap? It starts with being honest with ourselves about what we're expecting from our partners and from the relationship. Are our expectations realistic? Are they based on our own needs and values, or are they influenced by external pressures? We all come to relationships with our own unique histories, our own stories etched onto our hearts. And sometimes those past experiences, especially the painful ones, can cast long shadows on our present-day love lives. Maybe you've been hurt in a previous relationship, betrayed by someone you trusted, or experienced a loss that left you feeling heartbroken. Those wounds, even if they're not visible, can shape the way we approach new relationships. They can make us guarded, fearful of getting hurt again, or even cause us to unknowingly recreate patterns that no longer serve us. The truth is, unhealed wounds have a way of resurfacing, often in ways that sabotage our happiness. But here's the thing. We don't have to let our past define our future. Healing from past relationship wounds is possible, and it's one of the bravest and most loving things we can do for ourselves and for our future relationships. In the early stages of a relationship, it often feels like the spark comes effortlessly. But as relationships mature, as we settle into the comfort and familiarity of long-term love, it's easy to let that initial spark fade into the background. We get busy with work, with kids, with the demands of everyday life, and we forget to nurture the very thing that brought us together in the first place. But here's the thing. Maintaining the spark in a long-term relationship takes effort. It's about making a conscious choice to prioritize our love, to create moments of connection, and to remind our partners why we fell in love with them in the first place. It's about finding ways to inject playfulness and spontaneity into our relationships, to try new things together, and to never stop dating each other. Relationships exist within a larger context, a web of external factors that can either strengthen or strain the bonds we've created. These external pressures, financial stress, work demands, family dynamics, societal expectations, can create friction, trigger insecurities, and test even the strongest of relationships. It's easy to feel overwhelmed when life throws its inevitable curveballs our way. So how do we navigate these external pressures in a way that strengthens our bond rather than tears it apart? It starts with recognizing that we're in this together. It's about creating a sense of teamwork, a shared understanding that we're on the same side, even when things get tough. Commitment. It's a word that can evoke feelings of excitement, fear, and everything in between. The idea of sharing our lives with someone, of building a future together, can be both exhilarating and terrifying. And for many of us, that fear of commitment can hold us back from experiencing the depth of love that we crave. But why are we so afraid to commit? Often it stems from a fear of vulnerability, a fear of getting hurt, or a fear of losing ourselves in the process. But here's the thing. Commitment isn't about losing ourselves. It's about choosing someone, flaws and all, and saying, I choose you. Overcoming the fear of commitment requires us to confront those fears head-on. It's about examining the root of our resistance, challenging limiting beliefs, and reminding ourselves that love is not a finite resource. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the importance of vulnerability and communication to the challenges of managing expectations and navigating external pressures. And if there's one takeaway I want to leave you with, it's this. Love is not a destination, it's a journey. It's not a feeling that magically sustains itself, it's a verb, an active and ongoing choice we make every single day. It's showing up for each other, even when it's hard. It's choosing forgiveness over resentment, understanding over judgment, and connection over disconnection. Because the truth is, love requires effort. It requires us to be present, to be vulnerable, and to be willing to do the work to build a strong and healthy relationship. But the rewards, my friends, are immeasurable. Love has the power to transform our lives. We've explored some of the reasons why love can be so hard, the vulnerabilities it exposes, the communication breakdowns, the weight of expectations, the ghosts of relationships past, and the effort it takes to keep the flame alive. But amidst all of these challenges, let's not forget the incredible beauty of love. What are your experiences with the challenges of love? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more conversations on vulnerability, courage, and wholehearted living.